This episode of Fight Stories is brought to you by Absolute Nature CBD. Premium 100% natural CBD oil and CBD oil products. Absolute Nature will absolutely help you with all the pain and inflammation you get from punching people and getting punched in the head. Go to www.absolutenaturecbd.com. Use the promo code SunshineBoys for an exclusive Fight Stories discount. You're listening to Fight Stories. Fight Stories Season 2. This is John Moses, and man, am I excited. We've got a great season lined up for you guys. We got some great hockey fight stories, man, some great episodes. Former New York Ranger Ryan Vandenbush. We've got the legend, the man that the myth and the legend was based off of, Slapshot's Olgie Oglethorpe. We got the real-life Goldie Goldthorpe. Find out why he was cut from that movie. That's a great one. We've got former NHL referee Paul Stewart, and he's a former tough guy himself. Also hates Goldie Goldthorpe. So that's a separate episode, but there's a little bit of heat that gets brought up in that one. In addition to that, we've got some boxing this season. We've got former 5-time champion, former lightweight and light middleweight champion Vinny Paz. That's a wild episode. Took us a little while to tack that one down up in Rhode Island. And then we've got some hilarious comedians as well as some great wild card episodes. My friend, a good friend of mine, one of the toughest babes that I've ever met. She shall remain nameless, at least for now, until we decide whether or not we should actually release her name. I don't want to fuck up her day job. And then also there is a story from that episode that might have to be expunged. We have to consult the Fight Stories attorney to see if the statute of limitations has passed on that or if it ever expires. So that might be a Patreon special, that little piece of evidence. And then my favorite episode of the season is definitely Toronto Batman, which we will release the week of Halloween. It is so funny and bizarre and fascinating. So you got that to look forward to, in addition to the live episodes we have not yet recorded. Vandenbush we recorded live already, and that was cool, but we are working on a few things, including a live episode in St. Louis, November 22nd, with some former St. Louis Blues. We want to talk to the champions, get up there in Cuptown, and have a good time doing that. So if you are in the Missouri area or in Kansas, or if you're around in and around St. Louis, or you're just a big old Blues fan, we are nailing down the details for November 22nd. So message us for more information on that. And also we've got some new merch for Season 2. We got some hoodies in addition to that T-shirt. All right, that's it. Let's get into Episode 1. We are in New York City for this episode, talking to comedian Andrew Schulz. Schulz is just killing it in comedy right now. But also, New York kid, pretty street savvy dude, kind of scrappy, boxed a little bit. So we talk about some fights and we talk about comedy in this episode. So the comedy people are going to love it. All right, without further ado, here we go. Oh, we're in New York City, towering over the streets of Manhattan. I'm here with Tyler Morrison. We're just running around insane collecting these great fight stories.
Oh, yeah, the Sunshine Boys coming in hot. Once again, we got an amazing episode coming up. We got one of my favorite people in comedy and one of the funniest dudes, just crushing it right now. We're in New York City with Mr. Andrew Schulz.
Hello, guys.
Thanks for being here, man.
Thanks for having me. I appreciate it. I just got an idea, by the way, of someone you need to get on this podcast.
Who's that?
Ben Bailey.
Oh, okay, from Cash
I will
Cab?
arrange this.
He's a comic.
Ben, he's the guy from Cash Cab.
Yeah.
Hilarious comic.
Yeah.
And his comedy is very different than like his Cash Cab antics. He's like really structured and the bits are really interesting. Yeah. Like he's funny, but he has the funniest fight stories. I was trying to get him to do this podcast.
Oh, okay.
Like,
wow.
no, not yours. Like, I was bro, you got to just do a podcast where you
talk
invite people
about
to talk about fights. So when I saw you guys doing it, I was like, this is a brilliant idea. People listen.
Wow.
But this episode is going to go downhill the second I start talking about my fight stories, by the way. But Ben Bailey has the funniest. I mean, talking about like in college, like people pulling out guns on his friends and him.
Oh,
and
wow.
Like, bro. Like,
I did hear that he picked somebody up by the throat I don't know if it was at the Cellar
Dude,
or
at the Cellar,
something.
dude, they'd be fucking around. Back in the day,
Yeah.
at the Cellar, like, we are such pussies compared to what, like,
I know.
our generation is pathetic. Back in the day, he would tell me a story about, like, how ruthless people were. Back in the day, there's this one story where it's Patrice and Norton and him and a few other guys are sitting at the back table. And a new comic from, like, Ohio or something just comes into the Cellar. And he goes, hey, guys, how you doing, man? I'm a comic from Ohio. Just came to New York City, and here's my DVD. I was wondering if you could just hand this to Esty and, so she could see it. And Patrice goes, oh, yeah, for sure, man. Let me see that for a second. And takes the DVD, opens up the DVD case, takes out the DVD, cracks the DVD in half on the corner of the table, puts it back in the DVD case, closes it, hands it to the guy. Bro, they were fucking animals, dude.
Oh my god.
They were fucking animals back in the
That's so
day,
great.
dude.
That's so
We're
cold-blooded.
so soft now, dude. It was just savages.
Oh yeah, you'd be at the front page of Vulture if you fucking did that today.
Dude, the stories, and Ben was there for all of it. I mean, they would just be relentless, just going in on each
Yeah, he
other.
would be great.
He's a big guy. Like,
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Like, yeah, he will fight.
yeah.
Yeah,
Yes.
it's funny because like I hear his comedy, and then people say, "Oh no, he'd be off stage, like ripping people up by the neck." I'm like, that guy?
Yes.
That guy seems like a wholesome
Cash
man.
If
Yes.
you've ever seen him roast, though, he's fucking merciless.
Oh, he's good, yeah.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. So he's
Sharp.
He's a little bit different on a roast than his regular stand-up or cash cab stuff, right? So
Oh, there you go.
Yeah, he roasted somebody. Who did he roast? There was Patrice or something like that. There's a clip
was
of
an
him
older
roasting
one.
that was really good.
Yeah, I think it was the Patrice roast.
Yeah, at the Village.
Or Boston
Comedy Village,
Comedy
Boston, which was the Boston. When we would perform there was the... You ever performed at the Comedy Village?
No, I did the Boston one time.
Boston turned into
It
Comedy
was when it was
Village.
Barry Katz's club,
Yes.
and that's when they did the roast. And it is on YouTube if you want to check it out.
Yeah. It's ruthless. Oh, God, it's ruthless. But
That's
yeah.
great.
Yeah, so that's my suggestion. I'll hook that up
Oh, very cool.
for sure.
We love that. It's funny because there's a continuance that is starting to happen in this podcast.
Okay.
So we had Artie on, and Artie was telling a story
Lang.
about Lang,
Yeah.
and he was telling a story
His
about.
nose is a fight story.
Oh boy, yeah,
Bro.
yeah, oh yeah.
You know what I love
It
about
fought the war on drugs.
Great, you're
And the
fucking
law
great.
won.
Drugs won. I fought the war on drugs. Nancy Reagan spinning in her grave. God damn it!
Yeah.
Dude, that should be next season of Narcos.
Artie-
yeah.
The
Escobar's
germs?
hiding in there.
The germs,
Narcos,
the German
New
ex-germs
Jersey.
living in fucking Artie's nose, just battling all the drugs.
Bro.
But Artie tells a story about Bob Levy eating blue cheese out of a chick's ass. This is actually how Paz, got on the radar. That episode goes
A
out.
lot of information just came at me right now. Go.
So then my buddy who works at comics goes, "Oh yeah, Vinny Paz let his girlfriend get blue cheese eaten out of her ass by Bob Levy."
That was his closer.
Yeah, it's his closer for
He'd
2
bring
years.
a chick on stage
For 2 years.
randomly out of the crowd and eat blue cheese out of her ass. And so John was asking Artie, because
Hold
Artie
on.
told him about this.
Yeah.
He's like, did anyone ever beat him up?
Because my mind is blown. Like I'm like,
I don't know how-
surely somebody
how's
must
it-
have tried to assault you.
Yeah, how's a guy not beat up Levy for his girl getting a little too excited and jumping up there?
Right.
And yeah, so
What do you do if there's no girl willing? Like, I don't think Bob is selling out.
I mean,
There's crowds with like 12
I
people.
think you'd have a hard time now getting somebody to let Bob eat blue cheese out of her ass. But this
So
is
there was a time where
this is Howard Stern at the height.
Yeah.
So you're going there for some wild shit.
Right.
Mhm.
Right. This is fucking 2,000 people in a room, probably at minimum all the time. And they're nuts. So anyway,
when the whack pack is flying high?
Right.
when the whack pack wasn't whack.
Yeah.
So I'm like, did anybody ever? He's like, no. He did that for 2 years. I never saw anybody, try to physically harm him. So then the episode goes out, and somebody sends me a picture. Oh, this is Levy at comics, and he's with Vinny Paz and his girlfriend. Vinny Paz told his girlfriend to go up on the stage. She
The
said-
boxer, for
The
the
boxer.
listeners that don't know.
Of course.
Yeah, not the rapper. And and then the girl looked a little reluctant. And he was like, "Get up there!" Right. So then that's why I reached out to Vinny Paz. I was like, hey man, there's this story. Listen, you're a great fighter and everything like that, but I just really would love to hear the story. And then like 2 months later, he gets back to me, and we all know how that story has ended thus far.
Damn.
With him blowing us off.
Searching for Vinny Paz. We're searching for Vinny Paz. We will find him.
Yeah.
Fuck. We'll get him.
But then we did Colt Noor, and then Colt Noor's like, oh man, you got to go and talk to Doug the Thug, and he was the guy from the movie Goon, like the
Right, you were telling me about this, yeah.
Right, so there's like some continuance, and then we were in Boston getting that the dude James, and James is from Lowell, and he starts telling us a story about Dickie Eklund.
He's a young
the
comic.
fighter.
James is a young comic, and he's a jiu-jitsu trained fighter.
Okay.
And he starts telling us about Dickie Eklund from The Fighter is from his hometown, and Mickey Ward.
Yeah, but Dickie Eklund is the character played by
Christian Bale.
Is Bale.
To me, it's so funny. And he goes, listen, if you thought Christian Bale was funny in that movie, he's got nothing on the real life Dickie.
Well, you see a little bit of real life Dickie at the end of the movie.
Uh-huh.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. So
Yeah.
did you actually talk to Dickie?
No, but he's saying, oh, I'll bring you to Dickie. And I was just like, I don't even want to speak to Irish Mickey. I mean, I don't want to say I don't want to, but of course. But to me, Dickie is the guy I've got all the questions for.
Oh, without a doubt. Yeah.
So it's like there's a continuance, and then you're like, oh, you got to talk to Ben Bailey, and then it's like we go,
because we know the
hiking
fight
across
stories,
town.
we know the people. An interesting guy. I mean, he's not going to be interesting to talk to, but if you can get the stories out of him through someone else, the bouncer at Nick's Comedy Stop, the black dude. Were you
We
up there?
tried.
Yeah,
You heard about him.
Yeah.
10 times has been shot.
Wow.
That's crazy. He kept
Different times. 2 of them women.
Wow.
Yeah, no.
I wonder
8
what
of
the
them,
conviction
8 of them
rate
women.
is.
8 of them
8
women.
of them women?
Something crazy. I
Is he a
remember
rapist?
asking. No, he's like the sweetest guy. And he was like, yeah, she thought I was cheating on her. I was like, well, was you? He goes, no. And it's just like, you got
Wow.
shot for not even cheating. Like, it's nuts, dude.
I don't know if that guy has had a head injury or something, but the fact that 8 women would even fuck the guy is miraculous to me.
Oh, he still got a girl.
A
No
bullet to the head, maybe. We were trying to do like an episode before the show in like the back area there, and he kept coming in with a boombox
that he had just bought off a crackhead.
he's just blasting it, interrupting the podcast. So yeah, something's not 100%.
A little
No,
off,
for
yeah.
sure. Yeah, he's got
You
a
know,
screw or two loose.
Yeah,
But
I mean, if you get shot
10 times, maybe we could have
at the job, if you get shot 10 times at the job, like, you definitely have a little bit of a screw loose. Like, it would take me one time to never work there again if I got shot.
Yeah. Where did he
Without
get?
a
He
doubt.
gets shot at the
At the
comedy
job.
club?
This is at the job.
Holy
No,
fuck!
stabbed twice at the job, both by women. That's what the 2 was.
stabbed twice, shot 8
That's
times.
crazy.
Shot 10 times, just in his life.
Oh, stabbed twice at the
Yeah.
job.
But these aren't fight stories. That's just
No, but
getting
they're
shot.
fun.
For
Yeah.
assault, that's fighting enough. It's a type
I'm sure he's got a few fight stories
fought
buried.
for his life.
Andrew,
Yes.
where are you from? You're from here,
New York
right?
City, Manhattan.
So
East Village.
you must have seen some wild shit back in the day, because I don't
Sure.
fancy you much as a fighter. Like, I would have never have thought that.
No.
But I also feel like you've seen some shit.
I've seen some shit. I mean, I used to box. Like, I did, like,
you did.
organized fighting.
Uh-huh.
You know what I mean? But I was always pretty, like, a confrontational guy, but it would never really get to the point of...
You're tall. You got a good range.
Yeah, no, I fighting was always fun for me, but, like...
I think that's what makes you a good comic, is the fact that you're confrontational.
Yes, I like
You're always trying to
confrontation.
drive a point home, and and maybe in the process learn something. But I think that's
Possibly.
important for a lot of good comics, is that liking that confrontation.
If you're afraid of the confrontation, the comedy's not going to be good.
Yeah,
in
I'm
my
not a
opinion.
big fan of. Like, I'll just be like, all right, fuck off, and then
If
like go
you
home and write about it. But
Exactly, yeah.
but
Well, no, I think the comics that we're often drawn to. I can't speak for you guys, but I imagine we
no,
have some like similarities in what we like. There
sure,
are
tough
people
crowd.
who
The tough crowd gang is.
Yeah,
is
it's
who
like
I
there are
like.
people who are confrontational, right?
Yeah.
They're like people who have a different opinion, aren't afraid to express it. But in terms of like me, like just getting into all-out brawls and that kind of shit like that, it really wasn't that much. I mean, a couple like fights at basketball games, or just somebody was messing with my brother, and I had to rough him up a little bit, but nothing like I'm concussed or crazy. I've definitely been.
Uh-huh.
I'm trying to think.
Have you ever strangled a woman?
Like outside of sexual things. Or like strangled is a tough word. Like choke is cute. Strangle,
a gentle choke.
Yeah. Choke, of course. Like, have I ever not? That's the question.
Strangle ends up in the nicknames of serial killers.
Where else do you do with your hands during sex?
There's no Boston
You can only
choker.
rub the tits so many times.
Remember, a girl didn't want me to choke her once. I was just looking at my hand like I was taking a picture and I wasn't in a gang or something like that. I was like, well, what do I do now? Like,
You just putting it behind your back and fucking her like a fencer.
on my hip.
Oh god.
Fencer.
So yeah, I mean, very like boring fight stories, man. Really.
Okay, so what about like what did you see back in the Village? Because when you were in the Village,
Yeah.
the Village wasn't like the worst part of New York, right? Like it was kind of like it was still gay and there was a lot of drugs going down.
Different part of the Village.
Okay.
So I lived in the East Village, which was just turning around. Like when my folks had a dance studio,
Okay.
right? And we lived originally uptown. And by the time I was in like 4th or 5th grade, my dad thought it was safe enough to move down there. The East Village, which Alphabet City, that kind of area,
Yeah.
was like the heroin haven in Manhattan.
Right.
Like at one point, it was just called Tent City, and people just lived in tents in Tompkins Square Park.
Unfucking believable.
Yeah, it was insane, right? And then I think like Ed Koch or somebody was like, "Nah, we're not doing that shit anymore," and just kicked all the people out. But like, so it was a lot of drugs going down. It was like a lot of sex shops and that kind of shit like that. And then it just became like Japanese like hair cutting. Like it just turned overnight to like Japanese hair cutting salons. It was so weird. But so when I kind of was there for like the transition.
Yeah.
NYU started buying up all these different things. The
So you
punk
saw
scene.
that? So this was
Yeah.
happening around you.
Yeah, like CBGB's closed, like all these things.
Mm.
So it was like when people complain about like the neighborhoods.
So when your
changing-
parents bought that dance studio, was it like did they get the building for a song, and it was kind of like, okay, guys, this is going to be the new?
Well, I think they got it just because they were lucky. It was like a lot of these buildings downtown are artists and residence buildings.
Mm.
So like you got to be an artist to get it.
Right.
And
They just knew how to fill out the paperwork.
exactly, my parents were dancers, right? Or so my mom was a dancer. Like, we're just gonna teach dance lessons here. So boom, they got it. And it was like a good deal for
Wow.
what it was, and the neighborhood flipped. But
Wow. Good luck.
yeah, no, it was definitely good luck. They've been good. But you would definitely see
You could.
shit.
I'm sure somebody had the same dream in Cleveland in the
Nope.
30 years ago, and the studio never turned. The neighborhood never turned.
No, for sure. They definitely lucked out. A lot of shit is luck, but
Yeah, I mean,
you would
so
see shit.
Sergio, got an apartment. His
I got a
apartment
fight story,
in
by
Alphabet.
the way.
Good.
Here's a fight story. It's not a fight story, but it's a fight story kind of from our past. Not a very successful one for me, which is probably the funnier.
Oh, we like those.
Yeah, who comes on here and just tells heroic fight stories?
Ken Shamrock.
God.
Sorry, Mr. Shamrock, please.
Dante Nero.
Well, Dante could handle his shit.
Oh,
Dante
yeah.
could definitely handle his shit. But it's funnier, I think, when you anyway. So the first time I ever did Mocha Lounge,
Oh yeah, I've done Mocha.
we've done it together.
Yep.
Which is a very famous comedy room in the Black Circuit in New York City. It's up on like 118th and like some famous black guy named street. What street is it? Malcolm X or like Frederick
Adam
Douglass.
Clayton Powell, Frederick.
One of them.
Right,
yeah.
one of those guys.
So 118th and famous black guy. And basically, my first time ever going up there, I think it was my first time ever doing a hood room. I was just starting up comedy. And I remember I went up and I was kind of making fun of some guy in the crowd. And there's no real stage or anything like that.
No,
you perform in front of the bus station.
It's basically like
You're at a bar,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
there's people sitting on like little.
it would be like basically performing in somebody's living room that is jam packed and serving alcohol.
Yes. Yeah.
You
NBA
know,
playoff games.
people
on
are
the TVs
surrounding
all around.
you.
Nobody's
Yeah.
paying attention to you. Like you're competing with very entertaining sports. So I'm on stage and I'm just kind of like making fun of some Puerto Rican guy, and I'm not funny like at the point in time. Like I didn't really know what I was doing. I was just trying to like establish some sort of rapport.
Sure, you're swimming.
Exactly. And he didn't really like it that much, and he walks up to me. And he's in front of me, and I'm in front of him, and it's okay. Everybody's allowing it because there's no stage. They don't know if he's
Right.
going to the bathroom. They don't know
Yeah,
whatever.
yeah.
He's just standing in front of me, and I'm like, "What's up, man?" And he just punches me right in the face.
Oh, fuck.
Wow.
Yeah. So they grab him. They grab me. They tear us apart. They kick him out.
Okay, so you gripped onto him after he hit
Oh,
you.
of course. Yeah, yeah. He
Uh-huh.
didn't drop me or nothing like that.
Yeah.
But You see, I got an ego still. You didn't knock me out. What was that guy who plays for the Blue Jays that got stuffed? What was his name?
Batista?
Yeah, Batista. He's like, yeah, he wasn't strong enough to knock me down. So shut up. He rattles your knees, bro. You're doing Dougie. So he goes, so the guy punched me in the face. They grab him immediately, grab me, separate us. They throw him out. And I remembered Smokey, who's the guy who runs the show.
So funny.
I remember he just hands me the microphone and goes, all right, bro, keep doing your thing.
That's not the end of it.
Oh, yeah.
So I had to do 10 more minutes.
No, you didn't.
I swear to God, I had to do 10 more minutes, and for all these people that just saw me get punched in the fucking face.
my
Did you
God.
get a standing O
Bro,
after?
no!
You stood in there, white boy.
Bro, no, not at all, dude. It was, the black room was like, no, you got to be funny. We don't care what happened. Like, earn this
No
shit.
excuses.
Bro,
Sounds
no
like-
excuses.
Sounds like
dude.
something that would happen at a rap battle.
Bro, literally,
Yeah.
dude. It was crazy. So, but the
Keep
coolest,
doing your thing.
he literally
Go
hands me by
inside
go,
and
keep
smoke
doing your
weed.
thing, bro. He did, and I'll be honest with you, that was probably the best thing that happened to me in comedy because I experienced the worst case scenario.
Yeah.
Really?
Like, there's nothing worse. Like, no bomb is worse. Literally, people go, what if somebody does something to you on stage? And I've had candles thrown at me on stage. I've had, like, I mean, there was a time, like I said, I was very confrontational in my comedy. So it was like, I was confrontational, but didn't know how to, like, put the medicine in the candy.
Yeah.
You know? So it was like, it was just fighting. I was just fighting the audience. But I was learning how to be funny through fighting them.
Yeah.
And on like a different point, that's what I'm worried about comedy now. Because like, how could a comic in this environment develop this? Like I could because we had the Village Lantern. We had someplace no one was watching us.
Right.
But now, like
funny,
one
that wasn't even
vlog
long
would take
ago.
that.
Well,
know?
they always say shit like, they're like, well, only Chris Rock could say something like that.
Even
it's like, well,
Chris.
how does Chris Rock become Chris Rock? He was allowed to fail. He's allowed to find the line and cross it.
Yeah.
And now you're not allowed. Now all eyes are on everyone. And
Yeah, man. I had
everyone's
to have a
entitled
talk
to-
with Judd Apatow about this recently because he was going at Louis on Twitter.
Mm-hmm.
And like,
Oh, you had to talk with him?
yeah, like I had to talk to him at the
God
cellar
fucking
about it.
bless you, man.
Because like I just like, what's going on, man? Like, because I think he's actually a nice guy.
Me too.
I think Judd is a genuinely nice guy, and I think that's to his disadvantage around us because he doesn't relate to like that thing we have inside, like why we can joke around about the most fucked up thing.
Right.
The gallows humor that
Yeah, like
relieves
it's
the
just
tension.
there's something
Yeah.
in there that we need to get out, right? Or it just kind of fucking bubbles up inside us, right? And we're just kind of laughing to ourselves, and like we can, remove.
He's like, I'm going to write a 4-hour script about this.
Well, and he'd probably do it successfully, right?
Exactly.
But like,
But it's a different outlet.
Yeah, it's just different. Like, so I had to just kind of tell him, like, you don't know what stage that bit is in. You know what I mean? Like, you're criticizing, the type of comedy that you don't even know is finished yet. You know what I mean? It takes time for us to make these things funny. Like, we don't really know where he is with it. Also,
It would be like somebody looking at a first draft of a script and then passing judgment on it then.
exactly. And
You know?
I brought that example up, literally that example up. And he's like, you know what they used to do is sneak into screenings and then, like, give reviews on the movie before it was done. And it's like, yeah, and how awful was that? Like, you don't want to be that guy.
Yeah.
And then I said, more importantly, like, it's going to be fine with Louis. It's going to be fine with me. It's going to be fine with you, right? We can offend people because we're at a point in our career where we have, like, a fan base of people come out.
Right.
But there's, I think John Fish was with us. It was like, John might be performing in a club in Kentucky and say an offensive joke, and you've enabled those audience members that feel offended. You've enabled them to, like, shut him down and cancel him and get him, you know, stop being booked at that club. So it's like, you got to look out for us because comedy's been very good to you, especially stand-up. So you got to protect us.
Yeah. You're in a moment in time where you
be
were
an
able to just walk in to a position where people have to work very hard for 10, 15, 20, and sometimes never even attain that level.
Yeah.
So, and you're taking it for granted.
And not only that, like, because I think he truly values comedy. I'm just saying, like, so many stand-ups have done great work with him, and like stand-up comedy's brought such great things for him and success in his career.
Yeah.
Because of his skill, like that guy executes.
And he's done good things for stand-up comics, and he could be an ambassador of what we do, one way or the other. And it's what are you going to choose? Is what Louis C.K. did? If it doesn't sit right with him, it's like, well, maybe sit back and judge him on that, but it's not on his comedy. Because his comedy's in a different stage, you know what I mean? If he comes out with a special and you want to pass judgment, okay. I think that's up to everyone.
That's what I said. He's like, can't
yeah.
people have an opinion? I'm like, yeah, we're comics. We have tons of opinions. But you kind of do that shit within the family.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like, there's certain people who...
The way you're doing it to him right there.
Exactly. That you pull them aside and say, like, even right now, saying this, like, to you guys, I'm not bashing anybody.
No.
Like, I'm saying exactly how... I think how you're supposed to handle these types of situations.
And we're not bashing Judd Apatow at all. Like,
I am. Fucking the last 20 minutes of that movie with Sandler should have been edited, but everyone knows
What
that.
was it? I didn't remember it.
I don't know, the funny people.
Where he tries to eat the girl's pussy or something?
Oh, but that must have been the director's cut. I feel like that would have stood out.
You get private screening at Judge House.
I guess. But I basically told him, I was like, look,
Yeah.
man, if you're, he's like, because, partially I'm concerned about Louis. I was like, bro, if you're concerned, reach out to him. Call him.
Yeah, that's not the way to...
You could do that. Like,
Right.
you have the clout to do that. You could do that, and you could have a conversation with him. And I said,
you're a text message away, man.
that's it. And you might be right.
Yeah.
If you're right, you're right. That's cool. But the way you go about it enables this outrage shit.
Right.
It fucks up comedy because the way we came up, man, I could never get away with the type of jokes that I get away with now
It's true.
if I didn't learn how to do it.
Yeah.
That's a skill, man.
But when you write a joke right now, at the level you're at, you pretty much have an idea. I can take this to the stage now. Whereas when you're younger and you're starting out or newer and starting out, you have to take a lot of shots.
Of course.
You take a lot of shots.
It's
And
so
even
many
now,
at
more
your
shots.
age, you
Even
still got to
now, you
fucking
still
do it,
do,
man.
but
You
I
know
mean,
what it is?
it's like-
It's like when you start out, it's a fucking shotgun, bro. And you're just spraying, you're seeing what hits, if something hits. And as you get older, maybe you get a different type of gun that's a little bit more accurate, but you're still going to miss. It's still going to take a few shots. Like, I mean, I started this show on my YouTube channel called Inside Jokes, where I basically get comics to bring the jokes that are too offensive, they don't work.
Yeah.
And I think I told you about this, maybe.
Yes.
I don't know.
I like that.
But it's like, so we each bring a joke, and the four of us work it out. And like the fun thing is, people are interested in how comics write jokes, but like the little hidden message in it is hopefully people start realizing, oh, there's a process to this.
Oh, I love that. It's almost like
Oh.
you're educating people as to how comedy is to be digested.
Exactly. And if you tell people that's what you're doing,
Yeah.
you can't tell people anything. You got to show them.
That sounds boring as fuck.
Exactly.
You know?
Right? But
we
like,
understand immediately, but
it's
you tell
exciting for
somebody
us,
else that?
But the
Yeah.
average person is just like, how do jokes happen? Or how do you do? But once they hear us
Right.
going, hey, when I use this word, the audience gets pissed off. But when I use this word, and then once they see the weight of it is off, like a lot of us, we're just writing bits because this is like a fun puzzle for us to try to solve.
Yeah.
Right? It's just a fun, interesting thing to do. And when they act like there's this so much weight on this joke, like it's gonna change the world. This like
right.
that's not what this shit is about, dude.
No.
But to be completely honest, the reason why they're so afraid of it is because of how powerful a joke is. So many of my philosophies on life probably came from Chris Rock.
Yeah.
Just like stupid
Oh my God.
bullets make bullets expensive, like
There are
things
so
like that.
many
Like,
things that I think of even now where I was like, oh God, I think Chris Rock. I go, oh my
did
God, that's
it.
a genius idea. And then I'm like, I go to write it, and I was like, oh God, I think Chris Rock said something about like this in relationships. You know what I mean?
absolutely, and it's like, and it like dictates not even our writing process, but just the way we think. Like so much shit, I think of what would Patrice do.
It's critical. You know what? It's a critical. It gives you. Not only is it funny, and it trains you to look at things from another perspective, but it also gives you like a set of like critical thinking skills.
Yeah.
That's
That's all it is. Scientific method. We just apply it to
nonsense.
nonsense. For real, to really give
It's
people
alright. You
joy.
cannot get caught up in the importance of this because at
Bro.
the end of the day, we're jacking off in front of people,
Dude,
figuratively,
that's just
not
what
literally like Louis.
That's what I don't understand about just these people who are upset at comedy. It's like we're literally bringing you joy. Like I cannot. And if we can bring joy to even the most fucked up topics, now you have more joy in your life. It's just shocking that you could kind of criticize people who bring joy. It's mind-boggling to me. I don't understand it. I don't understand it. That's all we do is make people happy for a moment in time. The last people you should come at are us. Like there are people out there that murder. How do you have time to tweet about comedians when there are murderers out there?
It's true.
Literally, they're murderers.
Yeah.
There are people kidnapping little fucking Russian girls and selling them in Atlantic City. Like, This is bothering you.
I know.
Because we'll tweet back to them.
You're absolutely right, because we're fucking losers and we actually care about validation of the people who even hate us. It's so dumb. We should just ignore them.
And when I think of like all this like, you know, gender pronoun and all this shit, I'm like, are kids still getting shot in school? Like, can't we just like gather and focus on one issue at a time? Like the most important. I know Stanhope had like a bit something similar, right? Like, why are you trying to save the dogs? You know.
I don't understand any of it. I mean, I think it's obnoxious. Like even the why did you assume my gender? It's like because it's like 99% of the time I'm right. Like if there's one
because
thing
I grew
in life,
up like this, and this is the way my
grew
mind
up.
has been.
If there's one thing in life you can assume, and you're going to be right,
right,
it's gender. Like. If there's one thing I would tell my don't assume what religion somebody is. Don't assume that someone's into you. Don't assume that. But 99% of the time in my life when I've said sir, it's been a fucking sir.
right. 99.999.
99.999. So if we make an off mistake, you
I
gotta
fucked up
stomach
at a
that shit.
McDonald's.
Bro, people
Yeah.
assume I'm Jewish all the time. My last name's Schulz. Assume I'm Jewish all the time. I'm not upset at that. Actually makes sense because it's a Jewish last name.
I actually thought you were Jewish, and then you doubled down with those crackers, and I was like, "Oh, he's a Jew."
Mary? Virgin Mary's crackers?
No, they just taste so bland.
All I'm saying is, like, you shouldn't be upset about that. Like, it's not this thing that you can be pissed about. Like, God, it's part of life, you know?
People get worked up about it. They get worked up, and then you throw a little bit of alcohol on that entitlement, and then it's fucking game on.
This episode of Fight Stories is brought to you by Absolute Nature CBD, premium 100% natural CBD oil and CBD oil products. Absolute Nature CBD is organic. There are no GMOs, preservatives, additives, coloring, synthetics, chemicals, or MSG. It's made right here in the good old US of A, and they offer a heavy discount for first responders, veterans, and people with long-term disability. Go to www.absolutenaturecbd.com. Use the promo code Sunshine Boys if you love America. Product not available in communist Canada.
Have you ever got attacked on stage again, or was that?
I had a chick threw a lit candle at me. Yeah, and then she said, I hope you die in a house fire.
And it's like, what are you trying to start one?
Yeah. Funny. I didn't think. I just ducked. But, yeah, I did that. I'm trying to think. I've had little scuffles outside of shows. But again, like.
Scuffles. What do you mean? Define that.
Like, you know, some guy said some shit gets in my face and I'll push him and then just, you know, nothing ends up. I've noticed a lot of people are not courageous.
Yeah.
A lot of people don't really want to fight.
Oh, yeah.
You know, there's. What else was I going to say? Like,
Not
people
without-
have these things where, like.
especially when they're not boozed up.
Facts.
The booze helps.
The booze definitely helps, but I do not like to fight drunk because I understand the disadvantage it puts me. Like, if you know, I feel like in my life, like if I fought, all the fighting I've ever done, like in the ring at least, has been sober. So I know the difference.
Right.
When I'm a little sauced up, I'm like, oh, I'm not dodging shit.
Right.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I might be able to swing.
How long did you box for?
I was
Or train
boxing.
for?
I think probably maybe.
At the community center?
No, I probably started when I was like 21 and maybe stopped when I was around or 21, maybe 21. Maybe stopped when I was maybe like 25 or something like that.
Okay.
Yeah. So I was boxing for a little bit. I had a smoker.
Pretty significant.
Yeah, it was fun. But
Did you do any matches?
yeah, I had one fight. It was cool. It was like in front of my school, so there was like thousands of people there and shit. It was pretty
Oh,
crazy.
nice.
Oh wow.
Yeah. And I won.
Nice.
KO'd him, little punk.
Yeah, nice. And then you quit with a 100% win record?
No, I was gonna do Golden Gloves, and I went down to L.A. and I weighed in and everything like that. You got to get down to within 3 pounds of your weight. And I was gonna do 165. I'm pretty tall. I'm 6'2", so 165 was tough for me to get down to.
That's a fucking greyhound.
Yeah, dude.
Yeah.
You gotta look like a greyhound.
No, because I'm 6'2", and I was like 165. Jeez.
Right. So it's like I got down to 168. You had to get within 3 pounds. And I got down to 168 for the weigh-in, and then you go back 3 days later, and
You fudged it.
no, I'd been training for months for this.
Oh.
Like, I was stoked. I was ready to go. And my fucking philosophy class, I was in college at the time, they decided to do a test. What's it called? Like a final. I just couldn't miss my final. And it was the day of my fight. And they
Oh,
don't
man.
tell you your fight date until after you sign in. So they told me the fight date, and then I was the same day as my final. It was like kind
So
of
you're right in the final.
how about this? I go to the final. This is the most fucked up. I had been working months of my life. I'm talking about running every single day, training every single day, dieting to get my 6'2" gangly frame down 165 pounds and no professional diet. I was like, oh, eat salad. Like,
Right.
There's ways to get down. You
Yeah,
know what I mean?
yeah,
Like,
yeah,
take
yeah.
saunas and shit. Like, I literally was like, salad. That's what I'll do. And I go in, and I don't get to do it. And I go into my fucking philosophy class, and the guy goes, guess what? Surprise. We're not going to do a final.
No.
Swear to God.
Oh, so you beat the shit out of him.
I should have. I dedicated maybe 3 months of my life just training 5 days a
man.
week. I mean, just fucking.
So you threw your hands up, and then
I was just like,
Alanis Morissette, isn't this ironic? Did you? How long then after did you start doing comedy?
I had started comedy like a month before I came back to school. Came back to New York when I was in Santa Barbara. So I think I was like 23.
Oh wow! So you're doing comedy, boxing, going to school. It sounds like you could afford to drop something anyway.
Yeah, I had a full-time job, man.
Wow.
I was managing a restaurant, and that's where I started comedy. They had a comedy night at the restaurant.
Oh wow.
Yeah. It was like some destiny shit. Like sometimes life puts things in your way where like you can't move out of your like you're meant to do that.
Yeah.
And like all these weird things lined up for it to happen. Like the only reason, like I got a job at that restaurant because I spoke Spanish, and the owner was starting a new restaurant, so I started working there. And he was at some coffee shop, and the comedy show was going, but the coffee shop was closing. So he was like, "You want to just try it at my new restaurant?" So many different things going.
Little things.
And I saw all these guys. Like I saw Sebastian Maniscalco perform for 20 people.
Wow.
He just did the Garden 4 times in a row.
Wow.
20 people.
I think Destiny's telling me to quit. Anyway,
Was he working at the Four Seasons back then? Is that?
Yeah, it was probably he had some job in
Yeah.
LA, but it was like, it's just crazy to see those guys. And talent shines through even at that age. I was like, nah, this guy's special.
That's interesting. Holy shit.
But yeah, it was that was the best thing. It was just like, yeah. And I'll tell you one thing about comedians who often, you say that boxing is like a metaphor for comedy. It is not.
It is not, you said? No. I know. The only
You know how you know it, John? Because you've never heard a boxer go, you know what boxing's like? Stand-up comedy. Just like stand-up when you think about it. I mean, another guy trying to murder you in front of a group of people. Same exact thing. Like, once you've boxed, nothing is like boxing.
getting CTE when you're 53 and your relationship being extremely violent until you blow your fucking head off.
Making your girlfriend get blue cheese eaten out of her ass.
Your nose is caved in. In New Jersey.
Dude, it is nothing like stop it. Comics need to
That's
stop
so
with
funny.
that shit.
Well, you know what? But I mean, I will say this: the similarities between comics. I always say The Wrestler is one of my favorite non-comedy comedy movies because it's just you see guys who had a moment and maybe had a shot, and can't let go, and they don't see the writing on the wall or whatever it is, and they're stuck, and there's no goddamn retirement, there's no benefit, and there's no health packages, and you'll see men who may have had a shot or may not be reduced to this fucking shell of a life that they had committed to and just never were able to like, make a left or quit altogether,
And it's the shame about that is they actually never realized why they were doing it in the first place. That's what I kind of took from The Wrestler. I think there was something happy about it in a weird way. Like, and this is what, it's a transition that's happened really in my life, to be honest with you, is like if you love the game, it doesn't matter the result. The result is icing on the cake. Mm-hmm. So like
that's okay.
And I know what you're saying. It's easy to say in my position. Right? Every rich person will tell you money does not give you happiness. And every poor person will tell you, if I just have some money, I'll be happy. I understand 1,000%. You need to achieve a certain amount of success to realize the success doesn't give you the joy. You need to. It is impossible for someone who's poor to look at a rich person and go, I wouldn't be happy if I was rich.
But let's take that. Let's take a step back from the extremes for a second. Particularly in this country.
Yeah.
When you hit 50, 60, we are now talking about being able to afford to live. Like, we're talking the difference, like, you know, your life expectancy. You know what I mean? If you can't afford insurance and, like, decent medical and things like that, you know, your life could be fucking cut short.
Comics got this weird thing where, like, they don't want to have a day job.
Right.
But I never had an issue with that.
Yeah.
Like, I didn't find pride in, like, just doing comedy if it meant that I was doing, like, gigs that made me miserable.
Listen, I did for years and have recently, you know, got a side business doing some real estate stuff.
Great.
Because I want to continue to do this for, you know, the rest of my life. But I also have to be able to provide and live a certain standard of my life. And, you know, and things will go up and down, and that's all good. But
your comedy will be better because of it.
Yeah, maybe.
Like 10 times better. Because what happens is when you have to make money,
right,
you start doing jokes that you don't want to do because you have to kill. It's the reason why nobody will be funny in the future if we can do this culture. Because how could a kid that's growing up in, you know, go the Cleveland Funny Bone or something like that, and he has to host and feature, how can he really push the envelope?
Yeah.
He can't. He won't get booked to host and feature.
Right.
Yeah.
It's
He
almost
really
like you have
will
to carve.
not.
You almost have to carve out your audience first on Instagram so that they don't run you out of the club on comment cards. But then how do you truly get funny, you know?
You cannot.
Right.
Without, I mean, we had an incredibly unique experience at the Village Lantern. It was this place where nobody watched us. We ran it ourselves.
That's
We
right.
begged the people to come in off the street, and they did. We performed for 6 Swedish people, fucking most nights. But we did whatever jokes we wanted. And chicks threw lit candles, and we got in fights afterwards. But we learned how to be funny in our way. But just going back to what we're saying about that, like, you having the day job or having the side hustle, whatever the fuck you want to call it, it makes your comedy 10 times better because now you're not going, oh, shit, if I don't kill in this show, I won't get asked to book it. Now you're just going to go up in the show and be like, all right, that's what it is.
Fuck.
This is the comedy I want to do. I choose to do it this way.
Well, that's it. I'm putting out an album every 4 years until the day that I die, whether somebody wants to listen to it or not. And
Done.
I'm doing that for me.
And if that brings you joy, listen. I look at how many people watch the video that I post on YouTube just as much as anybody else.
It's just you get way happier.
I get way happier. But like, but here's where I realized it. Like, there's a show I do it called Dropping In. And I just did an episode in the Heights, Washington Heights, New York. It's a section of New York that's basically Dominican Republic. You've probably been. And it literally is this
Very nice
Dominican
bum bums up there.
enclave that's fucking inside the city. And I went around. I had a guy showing me around. I did stand-up in Spanish that night in front of 4 people, right? But I had the greatest fucking time filming it. Now, however many people see it. And if it's a lot, that's a bonus. I'm like, sick.
Right.
But I've realized that I love the creation. I love making a joke. Like that inside joke show that I do, it's because I love talking to comics about bits. I fucking love it, especially if comics, they're like, that I appreciate their comedy.
Yeah.
I don't give a fuck what a comic has to say about the government or Trump. Tell me what you're thinking about, what joke idea you got. Let's fucking workshop it. That is so much fun. So if people watch, and they will find it because I know it's good, but that's not feeding me. And I can only say this, John, because I make a lot of money doing comedy.
Right.
I can only say it. And I know anybody listening right now that doesn't is going to be like, fuck, I'd feel that way if I did as well. I've been miserable making a lot of money. I've been miserable because I was so focused on being validated. Oh, this got a lot of views, or this sold this many tickets, or this, do whatever like that. And the second I shifted that frame into what am I really doing this for? Is it so these strangers clap for me? Or do I truly love the craft? Do I truly love the art? Do I truly love the minds of the people I get to talk to? And the second I did it, and I'm telling you, I'm always only able to because I achieved a certain amount of success.
Right.
But the second I was able to, and I veer off from it from time to time, but dude, it's great to look at a video that got 15,000 views. I have videos that get millions, but look at it got 15,000 and be so just proud that we put it together. It shifted everything. So like the fact that you have a fucking job, if anybody criticizes that shit because they're struggling on their fucking $100 tree.
Well, that was listen. I'm not taking life advice from fucking 40-year-old men with roommates.
Good. Good because
I'm pretty good.
That you can do comedy at night. And you're like so much better. Like you feel more confidence because you're providing for your family. So now that thing is this thing that you do for your joy, your love, and it's going to come through the comedy. You're not going to have this bitterness that we often bring on stage. Like, when you're really dark, Sometimes it's really funny, but like sometimes you just hate the audience because you're not where you're at. You hate everything, and then the jokes aren't funny. But when you're like somewhat playful, you can get away with any topic.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
You know what I mean? I mean, Tyler knows. Like Tyler's a perfect example.
Yeah.
Tyler talks about the darkest of shit, but he's playful. It's like, all right, he's having fun. Fine, I'll have fun.
Yeah.
That's it. That's it.
Uncle TT.
Throwing some karate kicks on stage the other night. I'm dancing.
Dude, yeah. I really love watching you for that reason. It's because people get caught up in your energy, and they stop relating to how they feel about the topic, and they start relating to how you do. They're like, okay, I'm going to watch this funny guy. You're almost cartoonish in a way. You know, like
I brought like one thing I recognized I look at comedy. I'm like, okay, who do I really like in comedy? I love Chris Rock. I love Carlin. I love, all those guys. But then I also really enjoy Andrew Dice Clay, and I really enjoy Rodney Dangerfield. And Rodney Dangerfield, I feel, is the funniest pure comic in terms of like that energy that he brings. He's having a good time.
The jokes are secondary.
He's gliding.
He's the joke.
Yes.
And the punchlines are secondary.
Yeah, and if the punchlines are amazing and you're having a blast up there, it's going to be interesting. You're the leader of the party, and if you're having a good time, it's going to be a good time.
You always are bringing the party.
That's true.
You're on, it's like when a comic, I think a really good comic can get you on their wave. And I can tell when I break an audience.
Yeah.
Break like, I'm speaking of like breaking a horse. You know, you have a wild horse.
Oh, absolutely.
And they're just
like,
going on board with whatever they're going.
I saw you break them tonight.
You saw it. It was like,
watch it.
They're a little, yeah, you go.
I watched it because we go in and we both were like, ooh, they're a little tense tonight. And then Schulz does the joke about eating ass. And you just see them just fucking, everyone looks at each other for a second and then they break. And everyone was laughing so hard. It was the hardest, most cathartic laugh that crowd had all night. And they laughed throughout the rest of your set.
They were good,
but that was the breaking point where they just went, they let their guard down. They're like, we're going to laugh now. And we like this guy.
You got to let your guard down to get your ass
eaten. Real talk. But they're like, we like this guy. He's funny. He's dealing us, his truth. And it's like he's being funny about it. And
there's we were talking about this in a grocery store when I was getting these shitty chips that John has. But the idea, like, I learned a little bit later on in comedy that I completely disagree with the conventional wisdom of most comedians, which is start out easy and then bring on the dark shit.
Right.
I think that they dislike you when you do that.
Because you're tricking them.
Because you're a fucking trick. It's very similar when, and this is going to be a horrible analogy.
Rape.
But
it's just like boxing.
It's very great.
It's just like boxing.
These fucking
you gotta
dork
slip the
comedians.
Slip the jab.
These fucking nerd comedians who have never had a fight in their life go, it's the same thing as being in a fight. Shut the fuck up. You've only had your fucking ass kicked, you dork. It's always the nerd comics that say that too, right?
This is just like boxing. Am I masculine now?
Yeah.
Anyway, so what we were saying earlier is that, like, I think that if you take a crowd into a dark place or an uncomfortable place, but you reward them, they no longer feel the discomfort. So if you give them like fluff in the beginning and then you take them somewhere uncomfortable, they're like, I'm not used to this feeling. I don't like this feeling. I like fluff fun guy. But if you if you take an audience into a place that's uncomfortable or unknown, and then reward it with laughter, the next time you take them to that place is uncomfortable or unknown, instead of being uncomfortable, they're going, oh, no, the good stuff's coming. The good stuff's coming. Now, the risk is the punchline isn't funny enough to justify that discomfort. Yes. And if it's not, you bomb. But if you find a way to make it funny enough, up top, that's how you break right away. That's how you break them right away, and then they're fucking on board. Oh, okay.
Absolutely.
This is the guy? All right.
We're into this.
Where are we going?
Yeah. They'll follow you into battle.
I trust them. We were saying it's like people want to follow. They just want a worthy leader. We don't, humans in general, we're like, we don't want to follow some weak motherfucker. That's why we hate everything on TV. It's like because they're spoon-feeding us the weak.
Listen, let me tell you something. That's why people loved Sons of Anarchy. because on television, white guys are all weak fucking twerps.
Cucks.
And then cucks, and then now you get Sons of Anarchy, and everybody's like, "Oh man, yeah, see, yeah, that's what I'm talking
Everyone's
about."
guys getting pussy, bro.
Everyone's doing wheelies, coming everywhere.
Yeah.
You're not wrong. Like every role that I go out for, is like if you're a white guy, every role is closeted gay now.
Mm.
If you're straight, you're closeted gay. So I even had a role that was switched on me. For a show I shot for Hulu 2 weeks before we started shooting. I filmed the whole season, and they switched the role to closeted gay. It wasn't written as closeted gay.
Right.
But the mustache.
They were like,
Freddie Mercury.
Bohemian Rhapsody didn't work out. We're going to roll the dice on closeted gay.
they're like, listen, this is how you get him. You serve him fluff, 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 and then you get him to that dark spot when he's already contractually obligated.
But you know what it is, dude? What it really is, it's not even that they hate white guys. They're so afraid of like no diversity backlash, but they still realize that they like the majority of the country is probably white.
They
And
need a
like,
relatable white guy.
They like watching some white shit, but they're like, okay, so how do we make white guys minorities? Gay.
Right. Mm.
Simple as that.
Mm-hmm.
But also, we're not going to be the ones to like fire up an article, like white men. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like
and if we do, then you're all right, and it's a whole thing.
Like you know what? The Gillette commercial.
Yes.
The Gillette commercial. When there was the one part that stuck out to me was like when the white guy was catcalling and the black guy pulled him back. It was like no, man, that ain't cool. You know, and I was like, oh, come on, man. Yeah. Now we're the catcallers. You know who the best at catcalling is, man. You know who the best
Mexicans.
is.
You got to be really good at catcalling a second language. Like, there's my favorite part of the Gillette commercial is that they didn't care about any cultures that don't shave their beards.
Yeah.
Like there's no Sikh guys there. There's no Muslim guys. Like they're like, oh, we don't care if you guys treat women like shit. Go for it.
Yeah.
But white guys, black guys, shave your beards right.
Well, they're not miracle workers.
When those two kids are fighting, are you fucking telling me no one's placing bets?
But like, how crazy is that? They literally were like, who uses our razors? Only make them be better than men.
Right.
Yeah.
Literally like, oh, those groups don't care? Oh, fuck it. Do your thing.
Yeah.
Sharia for everyone.
The people who treat women the worst. I said it. It was me.
All right. Well, listen, guys. I love this episode. I mean, we didn't talk about one fight, but
I got punched in the face once. That's
Schulz
what I
got
got for
punched
you.
in the face.
That
and
was good.
Honestly,
boxing.
Talking to Schulz about comedy philosophy is it's a treat in itself.
I love talking comedy.
Fuck yeah.
Good shit.
Well, I think that was a great episode.
Thank you so much for having me, guys.
Yeah.
What's your podcast called?
Brilliant Idiots and Flagrant 2. Those are the two podcasts.
Okay.
And then I'm going to be dropping a new special if I can do a little promo for that.
Hell yeah, yeah, pump it up.
It's going to be on YouTube.
Yeah, so much of your shit is just free and available, so you guys can go and just drink it in.
Got to do it. YouTube.com/TheAndrewSchulz. And I'm really excited for it. It's called Views from the Cis. And yeah, I think it's going to be really cool.
I even like how you're dictating your own terms of how you drop a special. That's cool.
Yeah.
You got to break it up. If you say to somebody, hey man, check this guy out you've never heard of, listen to him talk for an hour.
No one's gonna.
I could be like, go fuck yourself. I'd never do that.
And what do they do when you're putting out an album? If you're a musician, they're like, here's a single, here's another single, here's another single.
Yes.
You know,
albums are dead too. Tekashi 6ix9ine, I mean, he's in jail, but like, remember that guy Tekashi?
Yeah.
He didn't put a single album out. He just kept putting singles out every month.
Nice.
And he just controlled the thing. So that's what I learned back in the day. It's like you got to make it digestible. Digestible, man, is all about
attention spans are shorter, and people are consuming things in a different way now.
They're consuming different, but you know what? They'll listen and they'll watch for hours if they like you.
Yeah.
So they have an attention span for what they like,
right?
Not for what they don't know.
Falling into the rabbit hole on YouTube ain't a bad thing either. I sit there, I could watch, Brilliant Idiots, just go from clip to clip. You don't even have to listen sometimes to the whole episode. You guys have a whole bunch of like chopped up clips.
Mm-hmm.
That's how it works on the YouTube.
That's what happened. My career changed after that. Everything changed after that because they would watch one clip and then watch 2 hours straight. And it was all about just finding a way where I could like access them. You know what I mean? Like I could just like make it, and they just watch one after another, and it's so convenient. right? It's just like it's not like you have to search again. I have a playlist, and you can just keep going through all of them, and another bit will pop up. And I'm hoping this special is the one that really takes it off, man.
Man, like if what's happening in your career right now is any indication, I think it's it's moving in that direction, dude. It's everyone's excited for it. We're excited for it. We
Fingers crossed.
I follow everything you're doing. I've learned a lot from you. We've been friends for a long time, but it's been exciting to see the Schulz train just fucking crushing.
I've only recently been able to enjoy it. I was just too bitter and jealous before. But the last year, I've really made some strides.
Hey, man, this is great. It's great, man.
Yeah,
I think really it's like
I'll get you a gold chain. I'll get you.
It's a weird thing. It's like I don't know. Like you gotta root for me because I'm the example. I'm with literally everyone who didn't get a shot at stand-up. Like I got tons of shot with TV and that kind of shit, but that's not what I love. Like what we like. I have everything that you should want for a Netflix special or a Showtime, and literally every network said no. And then I put out myself on YouTube, and I got fucking. I think I was the most viewed stand-up comic on YouTube. Like, but I'm the example you should all follow. Like everybody should literally do exactly what I'm doing. Because we can do it. We could do it ourselves. We don't need them. And even if you do the special, no one comes out to the shows. Unless you're on Netflix. Nobody's coming out.
And now it's so fucking saturated. It used to be you get a special on Netflix, the next day there's a line around the block. That cannot be true of everybody that has a special on Netflix anymore.
That worked for was Ali Wong.
They put 40 fucking specials out on New Year's Day.
Wait till my next shit. I'll tell you guys off air. But my next shit, I'm going to do what they wanted to do with that. Oh, the next one's going to be crazy.
Ooh, baby.
Very excited. All right. Thank you all so much.
Thanks, Andrew Schulz. This has been another episode of Fight Stories. And don't forget to subscribe to all of our channels. YouTube, we got clips up there. And just like what Schulz does, you can sit in the rabbit hole and do some more shit all day. And patreon.com/fight stories. Tons of bonus incentives. Get on there. Support the tribe.
Yeah, listen, you contribute enough money, I'll send you a dick pic, baby.
Yeah, boy.
Hey, and if you don't contribute any money, I'll send you a dick pic.
Sunshine boys.
Sunshine boys. Riding off into the sunset. That's been Fight Stories, guys.